Do parts of the new Justice League trailer bear striking similarities to movies from the Marvel Universe? We're going to talk about that in today's video. Well guys, we finally got a new trailer for the Justice League film coming out in November, and it certainly didn't disappoint in terms of action, character development, and even a healthy dose of humor. However, after watching it multiple times, I found myself coming to an interesting conclusion. Personally, my biggest takeaway was the consistent comparisons I was making with previous Marvel titles as I was watching it. At around the 35-second mark of the trailer, I thought we got our first glimpse of the villain of the movie, which was confirmed to be Steppenwolf by director Zack Snyder several months ago. Playing the role of Steppenwolf will be Ciarán Hinds, who's most recently known for portraying Aberforth Dumbledore in the final Harry Potter movie, as well as being a member of the Wildlings on the HBO series Game of Thrones. However, if you grew up a comic book nerd like myself, you saw next to no resemblance to Steppenwolf when looking at this winged creature on screen. I instead saw striking similarities to that of a Marvel villain, that being Yellowjacket from the recent Ant-Man film. Which of course is impossible and makes no sense given that we are in a different comic book universe. However, as the trailer moved on, we saw many versions of this quote-unquote villainous character, even multiple on screen at a time. I was then reminded of a similar plot point in the second Avengers film, Age of Ultron. When Tony Stark, aka Iron Man's Ultron project, went rogue, the program transferred itself into a physical being made up of scrap parts from the Iron Man's Iron Legion. Ultron proceeded to create an army comprised of these robots, resulting in the Avengers battling hundreds of thousands of these things for the last 60 minutes of the film. If you pay attention throughout the trailer, you witness various members of the Justice League battling these winged creatures. Side note, if anybody knows of the actual name for these winged creatures so I can stop calling them winged creatures, that would be greatly appreciated. There's also a possibility that this is indeed versions of Steppenwolf, but I'm just not seeing it. Towards the end of the trailer, we see two of these, well, winged creatures on screen at the same time, at which point Aquaman leaps off of the Batmobile and takes them both out with one strike of his trident. I initially thought perhaps I was stretching a bit in the comparisons I was making, so I decided to watch the trailer a second time, and a third time, and you see where I'm going with this. After multiple viewings, I found myself making the same comparisons and even discovered a new one I initially missed. At around the 1 minute 30-second mark, we see Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, blast off into space for the first time and call me crazy, but doesn't he bear a striking resemblance to a comic book character I mentioned about 20 seconds ago? Yeah, I kind of feel like that's Iron Man, but with an ever so slightly different metal coating. Putting a still image of the two side by side just increased the blatant similarities between the two characters, and I found myself wondering if perhaps I wasn't off base as I initially wondered. As I said earlier, I could be stretching in the comparisons that I'm making, however I can't help but get caught up in them after multiple viewings of the trailer. I have been beyond excited for this film since it was announced, but I do find myself wondering if DC is trying to create its own path or simply playing off of successful ideas from other franchises. It's no secret that Marvel has been dominating the comic book universe battle with DC at the box office in recent years, but I have always appreciated that there was something very unique about both universes. Comparisons to the Marvel Universe aside, there are still a lot of unanswered questions, most notably characters that we haven't seen after two trailers for the Justice League. I was hoping we would finally get a glimpse of arguably the most important member of the Justice League, that being of course the Green Lantern. Okay, not really, given that it was confirmed a long time ago that despite technically being a member of the Justice League, there are no plans to have Green Lantern's character cast in the film. I doubt anyone is too upset about this or has frankly even noticed, no offense to Ryan Reynolds, who is clearly destined to portray Deadpool anyway. If anyone is confused about the reference I just made, Ryan Reynolds portrayed the Green Lantern for Warner Brothers back in 2011, and it was not so good. The significant absence I'm actually speaking of is of course that of Superman, who has been confirmed to appear in the film despite being killed off in Batman vs. Superman. We still don't know when or how often he will appear in the Justice League movie, though we did see Lois Lane briefly stare off into the sky during the trailer. So unless she's amused by pretty clouds or airplanes, this was a subtle indicator that Superman is up there somewhere. This would of course indicate that Superman's death in Batman vs. Superman was indeed fake. We're just not exactly sure how it plays out yet. As far as the plot, it's a bit difficult to make any real concrete guesses at this point. However, at this stage it looks like a classic villain comes to town and wreaks havoc, so a couple of heroes band together to defeat them kind of thing that, as I mentioned earlier, we saw not too long ago in the Avengers Age of Ultron. With the Wonder Woman origin movie coming out in just a few months, it is possible that we may get some additional information on where her character is headed and how this ties into the timeline of the Justice League. In addition, we still have nearly 8 months to go before Justice League comes out, so I'm willing to bet we'll get at least one more trailer, which will come along at some point. With that said, guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. I wanted to say thank you for the 50 or so subscribers the channel has gained since my last video came out. Though I do post these videos strictly for fun, I appreciate the overall support you guys have been showing me and the channel itself. As always, please feel free to post your thoughts in the comments section below, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Take care.